Soundstripe.
Welcome to the Regional Collective podcast. We're all about sharing stories of success, challenges, and the amazing community spirit in small and micro businesses. Here, we redefine small business with big hearts and determined hustle. Get ready to be inspired by regional entrepreneurs making a big impact. Whether you're just starting out or already on your business journey, you'll find motivation and practical tips to help you thrive. We believe in the power of community. So let's share, support, and celebrate regional businesses together. Tune in and get inspired to thrive. I'm thrilled to introduce our guest today, Laura Munch. Laura is a seasoned business owner and an expert in goal setting and strategic planning. In this episode, she'll share her insights on creating achievable goals and effective plans to ensure your business thrives. So stay tuned for practical tips and inspiring stories that will help you set the stage for success. So Laura, thank you for joining us once again. Today we're keen to talk about how people can look ahead in their business and set goals. And I guess, first of all, can you share why goal setting is crucial for, especially for small and micro businesses, even if they feel they're not big enough to have a big business plan, but why even just that, having clear defined goals can help them in their business?
I think goals are really important for several reasons. They help you figure out when you are actually changing and making progress in your business, but it's also the best way to, I guess, move your business towards what you're actually hoping to achieve from it. So whether it's, making some, X amount of money to replace, some employment time and hours, or whether it's, making enough money to buy a car or to take the family on holidays, all of those sorts of things, good reasons to set some goals.
And without them, I guess, without those goals, what do we see happen in small business without clearly set goals?
Yeah, I think it is easy to see businesses that don't have any goals in place because they tend to not make much progress forwards, often can even go backwards, because I guess if you're not actually sort of working towards something, you tend to kind of keep doing the same thing, and we know that doing the same thing over and over tends to lead to the same result, you're not actually going to make some change or
progress. And also sometimes this comes back to sort of almost that without clear goals, and then also that vision or that mission, statement, they can flip-flop all over the place. You go, are they this? Are they that? What are they trying to achieve? It can be just from the outside looking in. Can't imagine what it feels like on the inside looking out. But sometimes you can see businesses, you're not sure what their end game is. Absolutely. And that's not for us to see from the outside. But if you're in a business, you want to be clear on what your end game is or what your goals are to then operate, sustainably as you sort of work through the next, we're looking at the end of financial year, start of the new financial year is a good chance to start setting some goals. So how would you go about goal setting in your business?
I think, as you said, an end of financial year is a really good time to do it. Or, often people will use calendar years as well, but I think from a business point of view, because we tend to roll with the tax year, July, or goals starting from July can be a really good strategy. So particularly if you're looking at revenue focused goals, I guess it doesn't necessarily mean earning X amount of dollars. It can be things like, I guess if you're in retail, it can be making a certain number of sales of a particular product group, or if you're in service-based businesses, things like selling X number of courses or passive, more sort of passive income components to actually replace direct face-to-face hours. So I think,
or it could be retaining, have a retention rate of 90% or something like
absolutely.
That. Or, if you've got clients or customers or repeat business, so there can be lots of different goals that you can set for yourself. And how many would you suggest? Because there's lots of things we could probably, if we had to look and review our business, the list could be quite long.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, my personal preference is to have probably between 3 and 5 and to have a combination of short-term and longer-term goals. I wouldn't usually have more than like 1 or 2 sort of long-term goals, which would be looking at, a 12-month or plus sort of period. And in those, I would then break them down into smaller chunks as well of, per quarter or per month. Because sometimes it can be so overwhelming to think, this year I want to make, a sale like revenue of, $100,000. That's a lot. But if you break it down into, looking at that per month, then you're looking at, more like $8,000 a month.
So then you could go, well, per week, what does that mean? And so you can actually sort of start to break it down. Yeah,
absolutely.
Once you set that big goal.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's certainly, $100,000 over 52 weeks, which is, more or less, it's not quite $2,000 a week, but that certainly feels a lot more achievable than going, oh gee, I've got to make $100,000, because, or even if we bring it down to $50,000, like $1,000 a week, feels a lot more achievable, particularly when it means that you have to, if you're working 5 days a week, that's $200 a day. And what can you do to make $200 a day? Does that mean that you need to sell, if you've got an e-commerce shop, are you selling 4 orders that are $50 each, or are you, if you're a service business, that might be that you do, depending on your hourly rate and things, that might be maybe 2 or 3 clients for the week to make that money. So
you can start to break it down even more.
Absolutely, bring it down to individual units if you can, of how many hours or how many orders or sales of individual products.
And when setting those goals, we remember hearing about it even at uni sort of level, but SMART goals. So goals that are specific. So make sure they have a name to it. Not just be like, I'm going to increase my sales. It's increase sales by 15%. And measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. So I guess when setting those, how can you, avoid some of those mistakes of being vague, setting, like you said, being too long, so okay, well in 3 years I'm going to achieve that. That's really hard to keep going day to day on a 3-year goal. So
because you're not going to see, if you're not meeting goals fairly quickly, the way humans work is to actually, use 3 weeks for change, and to actually, you need a little bit of reward. To actually encourage you to keep going. So I think
you need a bit of carrot to dangle, don't you?
Absolutely.
Like, see some benefits of your hard work.
The short-term goals are really important in that. And I think, certainly being specific and measurable are really important, because if you're not being really kind of clear on exactly what it is you want to look at, you've got nothing to measure against. So if social media is you're looking at goals around social media, you might want to increase your engagement by 25% or something like that. That's a clearly measurable goal. Over, let's say 25% over the next 3 months. I guess, what does then that look like? Does that look like you are going to, change from posting just static images to posting videos, or adding a video in? Are you going to change up what you are posting, the times you're posting? There's lots of different strategies to get to that point. And I guess it depends what your resources are, hence the achievableness. You may want to pay to get better reach and to, put some money behind.
Do you have 10 hours a day to put towards creating content?
That's right. Do you pay somebody to do it, or do you look at doing some paid content as well? I guess there's lots of different ways of doing it, but you've got to work within the resources you've got.
And also there's that other part of it is relevance. So, going back to that goal of increasing engagement, well, does that does that connect you to customers who are actually going to buy your products or your services, or is it just a vanity thing of growing your followers?
Absolutely, and I think it's really important to remember that, because there is legitimate reasons you want to grow your engagement, particularly if you're working at top of funnel marketing strategies. You want to increase your brand awareness and for getting people to actually see you and notice you and start recognising you as a business. So there is definitely, it's not always vanity metrics, but you need to be really clear on why you're actually doing it. And because I guess the thing is you need to then make sure that what you're actually doing in those social media posts is meeting the objectives of that top of funnel activity and making your brand more recognisable and people getting to know you a bit more.
That's it. And not getting to know you for the wrong reasons, because then that shifts away from what your ultimate goal is, isn't it? So,
absolutely. We're not posting about our, brunch on Sunday in our business post if we're, trying to sell some sort of professional service that's completely unaligned. Yeah.
And that's it, making sure that those goals align with broader business objectives.
Absolutely.
So, and then the next one is time, so time bound. So why is that important to create, I guess, some deadlines and...
Yes, from a chief, I've got a degree in procrastination. So time frames for me, the most important component. If I don't have time frames or deadlines for things, I will just continue to put them off or push them out. So I think there's probably quite a lot of people like me out there. You need to have some end point that you're tracking against, because otherwise, you just can't sort of measure any outcome if you indefinitely kind of working towards things.
And especially if you want to make a significant change forward in your business as well. So even with the end of financial year checklists, I'm pushing to get it all done by the first week of July. So I'm I've got 2 weeks, there's still a fair bit in there, but I'm actually going to try really hard because I know that then I don't have to worry about it. And that brain space is freed up for the rest of the business parts that I need to do, and it will put me in good stead for the business year going forward. And it's I'm trying to be harsh on myself and make that deadline.
I mean, you need to do it. I think if you don't actually kind of give yourself time frames, you will keep working on the same thing over and over, and you're not making that momentum forward. You need to give yourself the end point to then be able to move into the next thing that you need to move on to.
And what are some ways or best practices for tracking goals in business?
I think it depends on how you work. It's okay to write numbers down in a planner or a diary or in a notebook if that's how you prefer to work. People that are more digitally inclined might want to use tracking software or even a simple spreadsheet, because you can see some nice graphs and things attached to some of those, and sometimes that really helps motivate people.
Because there's lots of analytics with social media, or if you've got Google Analytics with your website and traffic and pages and things like that. So one thing that I have set up in the last couple of weeks, which is a long time coming, but is a way to track that data. So looking at all my pages on my website, and month to month, have I seen progressively more unique users? Well, that's sort of what I was just wanting to track, because it's quite simple to set up. There's a little bit of formulas to put in there, but that way you can see there's gradual, it's not momentous, but there's consistently the numbers are going up. That's great. There's more people every month looking. That's good. So that means that brand awareness is growing. So
absolutely.
Even as simple as pen and paper, spreadsheet, to be able to track those measurable goals.
Absolutely. I think because the more data you can collect, the better you can either do yourself or get some assistance and create strategy around where to move next. I mean, the numbers are really useful from a business to business support point of view. If people are tracking numbers, it does make it a lot easier to create quite targeted strategies and processes to actually move, in relation to your web pages, and how much activity they're getting. That can be really useful for then figuring out where you're going to spend time doing some SEO optimization, or
which pages may need that sort of sales copy or a tweak. If lots of people are going, but then they're also bouncing off, then that's a sign that you go, look, that page isn't doing its job, so we need to have an expert in there to actually have a look at it. Having the numbers actually give you something, I guess, useful to actually then also measure the outcomes you're getting from the help you're getting, which is really useful when you're outsourcing, is to be able to see, I guess, the return on investment. And I guess, as we just talked before about like spreadsheets, but there's also things like, so I've been using Asana for the last probably 12 months, I think. And with the next level up, you can do more goal setting and things like that. So there's ways that if you've got yourself and maybe a small team to align and share that vision, I suppose, of where you want the business to go, that's a really good way as well, because you can break it down. You go, here's our big vision, can break it down into sort of smaller bits. So there's other, if you're at that stage and you need to look into other software, there's things like Asana or Trello. I think probably Monday would do the same sort of thing, ClickUp as well. And I guess, is that sort of how do you see businesses to keep motivated and on track with their goals?
Yeah, I guess, it's using the resources you've got available. So if you're on social media, the business manager will give you some analytics and, I guess figuring out some targets and things on there. Again, considering sort of, I guess, what you want to achieve, whether you're trying to build your audience or whether you're trying to actually make sales, those analytics will vary. Xero and QuickBooks and all of those, account software systems all help with analytics and progress.
Because you could kind of look at your goals and go, oh, okay, we've increased our social media by 2,000. That's great. Oh, our P&L is the same, or it's gone down. Like, you can actually see, you can sort of do a bit of cross-referencing with how they sort of track. I think there's some integrations as well, even with like, is it Shopify or Deputy? I think I used Deputy with Shopify or something like that. There was a way to say, well, with either customer count or sales count and staffing and whatnot, there was some quite good integrations that you can find and say, well, can look more into the other parts of your business, but certainly there's some tools there that you can, once you've identified what your goals are, ways to measure and to track those.
Absolutely. If you're making sales online, Google Analytics is a really good place too. I mean, the current Google Analytics 4, which is sort of the version that we're working on now, there's all sorts of things that you can track and measure in there. You probably will need some help unless you're really good with it. It's not super straightforward, but the tag system that's in GA4 now enables all sorts of tracking that is really valuable data. So, I mean, if you're at that level where you're really trying to kind of focus and, growth and get really clear on strategy, Google Analytics is a good place to kind of... But having said that, there's a fair bit you can do with it all by yourself, and particularly using the life cycle. It's not a template, but whatever the kind of display is. Like, there's a fair bit you can track from the life cycle sort of tab in Google Analytics 4. So I think that's always a good place to start if you are online. It's if you're not making sales online, it's a little more difficult to track, your sort of online activity versus your income, because they're not quite so directly related. But
that's right. But you could also, and that's where you go back to your spreadsheet and go, well, how many bookings have we had? Or if you've got a booking software, like Absolutely. You may have that, you go, okay, I can keep. Have places to pull the numbers, and perhaps you keep it in one spot.
Because you can still measure things like conversion rate, even if your website is really asking people to get in contact with you to then buy your services or even products. You can still measure the number of visits versus the number of inquiries versus the number of sales.
So and Google My Business as well can give some information, so that ways people can either call a number from when they searched for you as well. Like, there's some business performance metrics there as well. So looking at Google My Business page.
And this is because Google has got their sort of suite of tools, can provide you with an awful lot. You can get information.
That's all free.
And it is, that's right. I think, and you can integrate it with other platforms so the information pulls across. I mean, I certainly use Google Analytics a fair bit in like SEO and keyword type work with clients, because it all sort of talks to one another. And it's really useful information, particularly, it's helping you figure out who your audience is and then who your ideal clients are. And there's a lot of...
who's resonating with it, because if you... And that's why it's important to review it, because if you say, oh, my target audience is 15 to 20-year-olds, And you know what? Most of the people that are on your website or finding you 40 to 55, you're talking to the wrong people, or the wrong people are finding you. So
Absolutely.
there's a big mismatch there, isn't there? So,
Absolutely, and that's going to have a major impact on your sales and conversions ultimately. So I think, exploring these analytics and getting some help from people.
Yeah.
Mate, good old YouTube. There are some really good YouTubers out there that do a really great job of actually explaining these
tutorials
things.
types. Yep.
So I think, if you are a bit stuck and you can't afford to go and get some one-on-one help, YouTube can often be a good starting point to get, I guess, an understanding of the foundations of these.
Yep. Well, there's insights and analytics as well, because again, they can help you they can inform you about making decisions, setting goals within your business. So I think they're, as challenging as they are sometimes, it's a really good reminder that you can track how you're going, and we should be doing that as a way to sort of see how we're moving forward, because sometimes in small business you can feel like you're just the rat churning around not making any progress, which is why I started the spreadsheet the other week. I was like, right, I'm just actually going to put data in. It's like, oh, well, it's grown by this much, that's good, and it actually can help you, validate that you're on the right track.
Absolutely.
And that you're aligned with your goals, and we want sort of just consistent slow growth, and that's happening. It's not going backwards. That's good. So it can certainly help you to feel better in your business.
It can. I mean, when you're starting out, things can be really slow. I guess the thing that tracking can actually help you realise is that you do actually get to a point where there's an exponential kind of uptick, particularly with social media. I find the way that the kind of algorithms and the platforms work, you get to a certain point, and then there must be something that happens in the analytics, and you get put in front of more people, because you do tend to get more of an uptick. So I think tracking really does help you kind of realise that you are steadily sort of stepping towards where you're wanting to be, even though it can seem really slow, and it's only you might increase by 1 or 2 followers a week. But if you're looking at that over months and years, like you do end up, it's hundreds of new followers. So and it's all heading in the right direction. The more eyes that you have on your content and your media, the closer you are to getting them interested in your wares, essentially, and converting them.
And that's it, and increasing that brand awareness as well. So I guess we'll set a challenge to listeners to make sure they have a really good look at their SMART goals for their business for the next financial year. And are there any other tips or last tip that you would provide when setting those goals?
I guess my suggestion would be to create at least one longer term goal. So look at something that you want to achieve over the next 12 months, and then break that down into either quarterly or monthly sort of stepping stone goals, and then create a couple of other goals create one that's a quick win, because I think the quick win will really help you kind of stay motivated. And it could be something as simple as getting on top of your email inbox, because there's always that one job that we just don't and then I guess my other suggestion is to, with one of your goals, create a bit of a stretch goal as well. So put your what I'd absolutely love to happen frame on it, and whilst it might not happen, making some progress towards it still is progress. So I think I'm a big fan of having a stretch goal. So if you're aiming for $1,000 of sales in July, then maybe make your stretch goal 1,500 or something like that, and see if you can actually kind of get there.
And then that can push you towards they can almost
thinking a bit bigger next time,
change the needle, or like move the needle a little bit further for your business, and to make that goal. So excellent, thank you very much. And obviously using your network around you, so we've got the regional collective, we've got the guides on there, sharing your goals with your business buddies as well can help with that accountability and motivation and relevance as well, so they can
absolutely
use your network around you to
help give you some realistic, ambitious goals.
Yes, absolutely. We, no doubt, you and I will be sharing our accountability buddy goals in the next couple of weeks, what we're aiming for next year.
And I know that if they're too high, you'll be like, Shell, there's no way that's happening. Maybe just reassess that one. So excellent. But no, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Shelley.
Well, thanks for tuning in to the Regional Collective podcast. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. Don't forget to subscribe and follow us. And you can join our community each year to get exclusive resources, expert advice, and connect with other regional business owners as a member of the Regional Collective. Check out our website to learn more. There you can also find free tools like strategies to grow locally and the ultimate business startup checklist. Stay connected with us on social media for more tips and updates. Let's thrive together and make your business shine. Keep pushing forward. You're not alone on this